I'm Tara.
And I'm Misty.
And this is the Handmade Podcast. Welcome. This is episode 8. Yeah?
Yeah.
And we are, we think it's episode 8. We are going to be sharing our adventures in stashing, including a video from a yarn shop I visited in San Marcos, California. And we're sharing our projects that we're working on and Shawl Together. We'll be talking about our favorite shawls, the shawls that are in our queue, and Shawl Together is a community project, #Shawl Together. We'll talk all about where you can find more information about that. So let's talk about the yarn that we've bought. How about you?
I went to SAF.
Oh yeah!
And oh my gosh, it was like, it was so overwhelming. It was awesome. I did not think to take hardly any pictures or videos. I was lame. I was just kind of in awe and in yarn fumes and oh my gosh. And so they had it was like a fairgrounds type thing, and they had one building that was, it had kind of sort of sides, but it was like open air on the sides, and then there was vendors all down both sides and in the middle.
Yeah. It's
and
like
then,
a kind of stadium?
Well, no, then inside the stadium thing,
okay,
that was like one place. And then inside the stadium thing, they had like vendors all around the railing upstairs. And then it had, instead of like traditional seating, it had like these concrete, big, wide step downs things. And so you go down in the middle and there's vendors all the way around inside, and then in the middle of that. And so yeah, there was yarn everywhere. and I wished I bought another skein of Miss Babs, and I love it. I was really drawn to her yarn, but I wish I'd have kind of branched out and tried somebody else, you know.
Do you have it with you?
I do have it. It is a Yowza skein.
Oh, which is huge.
It's huge.
Is that enough to make one whole sweater?
No,
okay.
I don't think it would be enough. It's like 500 and some yards. Let's see, I believe this is it. Yes, it is 560 yards. It is worsted weight, light worsted. I'm sorry, 4-ply. It is
8 ounces, maybe
8 ounces,
in superwash merino wool.
Superwash merino, and it is called Celebration. And it was so funny. I saw I met up with Ashley, Carolina Spinner, and
hi,
she was so nice. And oh my gosh, I'm gonna feel so bad that I forgot. Varian, thank you. Varian Bradley? Brandon, I'm sorry.
No, I know her name. She's a student in one of my classes, and she's a knitwear designer who does amazing color work designs.
She was so nice, and she even mentioned maybe something about designing something with my yarns, and so that was all exciting. So I'm gonna do some more semi-solids and tonals and stuff, and maybe send some over to her. That would be exciting. But yeah, I had such a hard time picking out what I wanted. There was another skein that Ashley, she found on the discounts section.
Did she snatch it up before you got it?
No, she did it. It was the next day. She didn't have it out that day because they kept adding stuff to the discount section.
Yeah.
So she snatched it up the next day, and I really, really debated on the different
hold it up
ones.
a little higher so they can see it.
This is gorgeous. I'll let you kind of go through and see all the colors. And Miss Babs just amazes me. I love this, but you know, I could not dye this.
Yeah.
The way that she does it, she does not reskein her yarn. I'm assuming that she hand paints, and that's why the yarn is not all messy. But she doesn't have the need to reskein this particular yarn. You can tell that this is how the dye hit it. It's not
like it was poured across this.
It's not been jumbled. So even though I may be able to somewhat replicate this, I could not personally bring myself to do that, because I would nitpick this to death. I'd be like, oh look, it's not dyed enough right here. There's too much white space right. No, she just does it.
That's what I tried to tell you.
And it's beautiful. I love it. I have nothing wrong with this skein, but if I was to sit down and dye this, I could not let it go. I could not.
Because you want something more precise.
My brain works that way. My brain works more precise. So I love how there's just room for everybody in the dyeing world. I mean, everybody has a different color sense, a different technique, a different way they're going to go about things, and I just really appreciate that.
And I think that's so important because because so many people can dye the exact same color, but it's about kind of your personality that you bring to it. And like, you are so precise. I like when you complain that there's the reds have run together, I can't see it because my brain, and even I think like my eyeballs don't work like that. Like, I can't see seams not matching up.
I complained to her. I said, I think I'm gonna rip this out. The seams aren't just perfect.
She has a completely finished bag that she considered, and I was like, you realize the buyer, okay, it's perfectly structurally sound. It's just like this much, the seams don't match up. And I said, your buyer isn't a sewer. They're not gonna know that seams matching up is a thing. And I have all of my quilts, the seams don't match up at all, which now I'm afraid to even show you.
See, I'm not nitpicky about other people's stuff, but I'm like, somebody's paying money for this. What if they look at it and be like, oh, look, she didn't do this just perfect. And so
yeah, but no, it's this is beautiful. And I think that's so important though, because so many people are going to come at it from different angles.
Yeah.
Some want perfection, some don't need perfection. I can't even see perfection. And then you got another yarn too, right?
I did. This was like, it was mandatory that I buy this. I mean, it was $4 on I don't know why they had it so cheap. It is 100% baby alpaca. Ooh. It is super soft. Now, it is only 1.75 ounces, 110 yards, 50 grams. So it's like a half of,
that label.
It's like a half of a ball, but oh my gosh, it's just so soft. So even if you were paying like $8.
Yeah. So this is like an eggplanty purple color.
Yeah.
And you got 2 skeins
of this? And this is gray. I got 2 skeins of each.
I love
this
that
is
gray.
like a really pretty gray. And so I thought, you know, even if I gift it, you know, make something and give it away. Mm-hmm. That's just beautiful.
I can see like a hat and scarf set.
Yeah.
Or like maybe a baby sweater because it's so soft.
It's so soft.
It's so yeah. Soft. I love it.
Loved that. It was really soft and there was so much. I'm very attracted to stuff that I wouldn't normally buy or dye, you know, purchase to dye right now. Mm-hmm. And so they, like the Miss Fab stuff where she had that finer yarn that's super soft. That's what I wanted, but I didn't want to pay that much for it. And then like, they had this, they call it bunny something, and it was the same booth that I got that out of, and it was like Angora. Mm-hmm. And something else blended, and it was just amazing, and I totally considered that. And then, like, right down from there, they had another booth set up, and they had one of those bunnies. And that lady was holding that
Angora bunny.
Yeah, and it was, like, fur everywhere, and then this tiny little face in the midst of this huge amount of white fur. Yes. It was adorable. And
if you haven't met, I think the German ones are the big ones. If you haven't met an Angora bunny, you should just go Google image search Angora bunnies. They're the cutest things.
Oh, wow. It was just, I was like, how does this thing even move with that much fluff on it? You know, I'm sure she was getting ready to shear it or whatever they do, but
a lot of them
she
you just
waited
comb
to
it and the fur comes out, kind of like your dog.
Yeah,
you know, it sheds and the fur. I mean, at least my dog. When you comb it or you pick it and you actually just pull the fur and it just like. The bunny sits there. I've seen a lady sitting there holding the Angora and spinning from it.
I've seen that too. Like, not only she wasn't really holding it. I had a video or something I'd seen one time. That bunny was laying upside down on its back, in between her, you know, between her legs.
Yeah.
And she was just sitting there spinning from that bunny. I was like, that is insane. And so
that's a very trusting bunny.
Yeah.
She must be a good bunny hugger.
Yeah.
Like, it trusts her and loves her.
Yeah. So I would like one just because, you know, it would be friends and cuddle, but my dogs would not allow it.
No.
Teddy would probably be friends with it, but Emmy would not have it. No.
She would just be like...
She was like, no, I'm the girl here. You're not doing that. No.
So while she was at SAF, I was visiting my family in Southern California, and I only visited one yarn shop. When I've been there in the past, I visited a few other in Encinitas. There are 2, and... I didn't like either one of them very much, so I thought, I'm not going to go back today. I am instead going to check out one that's totally new to me, and I'm not sure how new it actually is. It's been a few years since I've been in search of one, but it's called Yarning for You in San Marcos, and it was awesome. The lady who worked there was super sweet, came right up, and I said, can I shoot a video? She was like, I guess so. It's okay for people to take pictures, but there was a whole group meeting and knitting, kind of I'm going to share the video. And when I do, you'll see that I start facing one way and then I turn around and I show you the rest of the shop. I didn't go further and show you the full 360 degrees because there's a table full of women there and I didn't go and ask all of their permission to include them.
Sometimes people just don't want to.
Well, and I just thought they were like older and newer knitters and talking to each other, and I thought I don't want to freak them out by shooting a video up or even like kind of getting into it with them. So I guess we'll show you the video now of This is Yarnings for You in San Marcos. Okay, so I stood there and looked around forever, and there were so many great yarns, but none that I was looking for the specific projects I had in mind. But I kept coming back to these skeins of it. Zen, here you can touch it, I know you want to, Zen Yarn Garden Serenity Silk Plus, and it ain't cheap.
Oh my gosh, it ain't cheap.
No, and I had a budget to spend on like food and going out with my family, and I used a big portion of our food budget for this, so then I just ate sandwiches at home.
And priorities.
Exactly. And so this is, well, and Jay had already left because he was there for 5 days and then went home, and then I stayed another 2 days just to spend time with my family because he had to get back to work. And I work for myself, and I said I was allowed to have 2 more days off. So I was like, he won't care if I spend our food budget because he's not, like, it's not his food. I'm not, you know, keeping him from eating. So it is 75% merino, superwash merino, 15% cashmere, 10% silk. It's 500 yards and 100 grams, and I bought it to make Rock Island because I wanted to make Rock Island forever. And the lady was so sweet, and she looked up the pattern with me because I wasn't sure if I need 1 skein or 2 skeins. And I was like, well, I should really probably just buy 1 skein. But then I thought, that shawl isn't a shawl that, like, if you get to the end and you realize you don't have enough yarn, don't you finish it by, like, you're knitting up to, like, the top? You do the border.
You do the border.
And then you do the inside. And so if you don't have enough yarn, you just, like, can't finish the shawl. And I love this color. But do you know that this is the same color yarn I brought back when I visited San Francisco? It's like the exact same green.
You like what you like, yeah.
I know, but what's funny is I don't ever kind of use this green in the rest of my life, but I think it's like what you said about buying yarn you wouldn't dye yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm not normally drawn to it. So when I see it in a shop, there's something about it being in a shop that I'm just like, it's so fantastic, and it's so freaking soft.
Oh, I know. I love it.
It's the cashmere and the silk, and I think it's going to make an awesome shawl.
You will just have to find something to make out of the leftovers. That's just
all
there is
for
to
sure.
it.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I love it. And I mean, if the shawl only takes 1 scarf, then I can, or 1 shawl, I can make another lace shawl out of the other one, or put it together with something else and make. I kind of want like it on cuffs and a sweater. I kind of just want to live with this yarn forever. But I thought I could also use the other skein with that Madeline Tosh I bought that's the same color.
Oh, yeah.
So whatever leftovers I have, I know I have 2 more matching skeins to put with it for a really cozy something. I love it so much. So that's it for our stashing, I think. And you should definitely check out Yarnings for You. It's the nicest yarn shop I found. Kind of in between San Diego and LA. I also, though, got to have lunch with the Yarn Over Truck girls who are in LA, and I'm sure that if you're in LA, you already know who they are. They have a yarn store in a food truck.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome.
They are super cool, and they so they have a food truck, and they go from fiber event to fiber event each weekend all over the area. I mean, they do like hours of driving each weekend to get where they're going. And I think this weekend they're actually going to be in Vista. And my brother lives in Vista, so I was bummed that like they will be, like I want to tell him, go and take pictures of the Yarn Over Truck girls for me. But they like pull it all out. It's like a yarn shop. They have chairs you can sit in, you can knit. They have special exclusive colorways just to their shop. Like, what they're doing is so cool. And then they both had really cool day jobs, which actually just this week they're both leaving to do the truck full time.
Oh, cool.
I'm so excited. So they're in my Starship program, which is how I know all about their business lives. But they took me to, they like picked me up. So I took the train up from where my parents live to where they are in Burbank. and then we went to lunch together. And so one of them worked at Warner Brothers, and one of them worked at Disney Animation Studios.
Wow.
So I got to go on tour of which is basically just a big parking lot with lots of big buildings. But when we were on Disney, Diane Keaton walked past us. I know. I was like, I look at her, she's talking like, oh, and that building is Pixar. And I said, is that Diane Keaton? Because she was like walking. And she looked and she's like, and we both just stood there and went, and she was all Diane Keatoned out. She had like the hat and the scarf and the vest and the long pants. And then she got in her car and she drove away. And we just stood there and we're like,
oh my gosh, that's
I know.
so cool.
And I'm not normally like I would never say anything if I saw somebody. Like I wouldn't, you know, I didn't run up to her or anything, but we were just like.
That was like me with Miss Babs. I saw Miss Babs at her little thing, and I was like, I'm not totally not. What would I say to her? I was like, so I didn't even like go up to her.
You should say hello.
No.
So the podcast gives us a perfect opportunity to go up to people and be like, hi, I have a podcast. I should talk to you.
Yeah, no, I totally didn't
I'm the
do
same
that.
way. I'm not shy at all. So what are you working on?
I am working on my blue sand cardigan.
It's so pretty. You've gotten so much done.
I've gotten so much done. I'm so excited. Okay, so here is the back.
Oh, I love it.
I love it, love it. I love how the yarn turned out. You can kind of see that it's
And again, this is
tonal.
Misty's hand-dyed yarn.
This is my yarn. I will eventually have some of this in the shop. This is a, I ordered, it called for DK. And so I ordered DK and I used all but one skein of it. And so I'm hoping to have some left over, but I don't know if it's okay that I don't. And so, but yeah, this is so squishy. It's a 3-ply DK, and it seems more like worsted than DK to me, but what do I know? So
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I love it. It's going good. I am on the second, so you can see the dark stripe, and so after this, I will be starting the decreases or the short rows or whatever it does for the bottom of it.
Oh, right, the back and forth to make like a dip in the back.
It kind of dips.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's what I'm working on at the moment.
So I have my blue sand cardigan. I'm actually just past the second dark stripe to the light stripe. And I'm at the point, so did you do increases on the sides to make it flare out? Or you're not to that point yet?
Yeah, I'm just finished all, it had like, you do them and then you do 3 every 10 rows, and I just finished the third.
Okay, so I actually did decreases. I don't know if you can see them. I'll show you. I did decreases in the side to make it go. So I measured myself and I measured the sweater, and I realized that I didn't want it to go, I didn't want it to get as big as it was going to get. And I also wanted it to have some shape. I didn't want it to just be like an A-line. So I made it go in 3 decreases. So a total of 6 inches or 12 inches. Or not 12 inches, 12 stitches, which will be 1 inch. So it only goes in 1 inch, and then it goes out back to where it was. And then I'm going to do another set of decreases. So it's going to be a little, it is going to go out a little, but not just out.
Well, I made one that kind of sort of didn't count, and then I've got 2 other sweaters. So yeah,
you've got your sweater that you
got my sweater. I made this one, and
which I love.
I did this sweater shaver on it. I did. This is one that I regret. I did knit picks yarn with this, and it peeled really bad. And so it looks like a new sweater. I'm so excited. It looks so much better.
Oh, and it has decreases on the side.
Yeah, and I did it. I even did a little panel in the back. I added this extra. I don't know.
Yeah, that's so smart. It's a. I think they can.
But yeah, I did a little panel. But that's the most. I'm not to the point where I feel like I know enough to do too much customization, but I really like to take Amy Herzog's craftsy class. I think I might after the first of the year.
Well, it's actually her book that convinced me to, what's it called? Is it called Custom Fit? Or Sweater for Every, anyhow, Amy Herzog's book. We'll link to it. It convinced me to take the boldness to actually add some side shaping in. Because I looked at the sweaters that I like, that I wear, and I looked at the sweaters that I like when I try on in the store, and then I looked at what other people had done on Ravelry, and a lot of people added a couple decreases before the increases. So it's still going to have that, like, it's still going to come out like that, but from a smaller place than it would have if I had kept going. Because, my waist needs all the help it can get. Yeah, and looking like it has something going on.
I hope I don't regret not.
No, I don't think so, because it's a jacket.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't have, does it have buttons? It doesn't really have any closure, does it? So it's just a jacket that hangs open like the one you're wearing. And so I don't know that that's super necessary, but I had fun doing it. And so you can see this is the top, and it goes down, down, down to, so I'm at the last color. Like there'll be no more color changes. Wait.
You're a little past where I am.
This is the,
oh no,
this is a stripe. Wait.
Yours is different.
I'm doing light stripes on a dark background. This is my main color. What's your main color?
This
gray. The gray. Yeah, so we're both at the same place again,
okay.
And we're holding it down. People can't see it. We're
Sorry.
both in place. You might actually be a smidge further, which since I'm making mine in fingering weight means I've knit so many more stitches.
Yeah.
And actually, that's the next project I'm working on is also in fingering weight because I'm insane. But first of all, can I go in my next one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. If you're my mom, you should stop watching this right now. Turn it off.
Bye,
go
Mom.
away. I don't think you watch it anyhow, but if you're out there, please just stop now. Stop. Okay. So now that we're mom free, and if you're someone else's mom, that's fine. Only if you're my mom. I am knitting for my mom's Christmas gift, Isabel, a jackety cardigan, kind of like blue sand, but with the collar you knit at the same time in this 1x3 rib with a slip stitch.
Ooh.
That's going to be, they're calling it the collar, but you know it's going to be the front bands on either side. I will show you. And I'm knitting it in Icy Audrey is the colorway.
That's
from
my color. I like
Plucky Feet. And I love this color too. And she calls for a 1x1 ribbing along the bottom. I believe the designer is Amy Miller and the pattern is Isabel. It calls for a 1x1 rib, but I don't like tiny little snippets of rib. Like a lot of times I just feel like they look funny. So I did a garter stitch at the bottom. It also has a dip in the back, and you can see so this is from the bottom up.
Okay.
And it has a dip, which if I can get my knitting straightened.
Very,
you can see the dip
yeah,
in the back, how there's more knitting there than there is on my section for the front. So I'm about to get into the area where it's going to then decrease up to the waist, just like ours increases down. And then you split for the front and the back, and you join them, and then you knit the sleeves in the round down. So it's a totally different construction, which I'm hoping makes it less boring than I'm knitting 2 long fingering weight jackets. I'm crazy, right?
You're crazy. Are you really going to get that done by Christmas?
I don't know. It's my hope. So I'm knitting on it. I'm not knitting on anything else except for this.
Yeah, that would have to be the way.
I brought the blue sand cardigan because this yarn didn't arrive until the day I left for California. So UPS alerted me that it was dropped off at my house 2 hours after we had driven away.
Oh, sad.
I know. So my neighbor picked it up for us so it didn't get rained on, but I was like, because I had so much knitting time in California. As you can see, I was like here when I left, and I knit all that. That could have been on this sweater. But I came home, I cast right on, and my hope is that it's done by Christmas. It's all I'm working on all of the time, except for when I'm actually with my mom over the Thanksgiving holidays, in which case I'll put this aside and work on blue sand and be sneaky. But I do this every year. Last year I made her a quilt, and the year before that I made her a quilt, and this year I was like, I can't make another quilt. It's too expected now. I have to do something totally different. So I know she likes these jackety cardigans. I hope she likes this one. If she doesn't, I want it for myself.
Really?
So yeah, I like
That's
it.
the key to knitting for your mom, is always to knit something that you would want, so that if she doesn't wear it, what did you do with that? Can you pass it back to me since you're not wearing it?
Exactly. And she actually is usually the recipient of my like worst knits, like the knits that I think, oh, that's hideous, I'll never wear it. She's like, I love it, I'll take it, which is really sweet. But she's also a really cold person, so I've made sweaters. My first sweater was out of mohair. It was a hoodie out of a mohair blend I got on eBay.
Oh, I totally did that too.
Yeah, it's hideous. My mom wears it around the house
Mine's
because it feels like 100 degrees all the time.
Yeah.
Like it's just...
I did a short sleeve little top and hated it. I finally gave it away. I kept it for a long time. I thought about like sticking it and fixing the sleeves, but it reminded me of a 90 top. It was just really weird. It was super cute in the magazine, but it had like these it came with a V-neck, and it had these pleats right here, and it had these little pleats at the sleeves, and the yarn was really nice that I knit it with. It was pretty color. It was this really pretty mauve-y color. Hated it. And it was hot. Oh my gosh, it was hot.
Yeah.
Short sleeves.
Was it mohair?
I think so.
Yeah.
It had that fuzzy.
So now I always avoid mohair. There's so many pretty lace projects that are knitted it, and I'm like, no, I'm going to think it's going to be pretty, and really it's going to be a big, furry, ugly mess. That's just my own. So what else are you working on?
I'm also working on the bootstrap sock. And this is in my yarn, Making Faces. This is what I named that color. And let me set this.
I can hold this for you. It's so pretty.
So I managed to turn the heel. And this was such a neat heel. And so I thought this was the front of it, but it's actually the back. And you can see the little bootstrap garter stitch detail. So you get down to the heel, and the heel's so funky. You actually like get to the ends, and then you graft just a tiny 7 or 10 stitches, something right there. And then you you pick up and start. But the pickup was so easy because you slipped the first stitch, and so it made it like glaringly obvious to pick up right there. So yeah, I picked up a knit, and I was kind of worried about how, if I had it to do over again, I think that I would add yarn for the heel flap, because you can see that my yarn spirals all the way down to the heel flap, and then it just kind of variegates. But I think that I would have left the yarn on there and then added a second yarn, especially since you cut it after this little thing.
Yeah.
To preserve my spiraling thing. But it didn't really change it all that much. It made this one thicker. And I am knitting it a little differently down through here. I think it's the same number of stitches. I really didn't count it to see. But I'm knitting it continental. I started knitting it continental because I had a continental project and I finished it, and I enjoyed having that extra project to give my right hand a break because I've been having some issues. And so so I started knitting it continental, and I think it's really changed. I can tell a difference that it's changed my gauge. I don't know if you guys would be able to tell from here to here. If
I
you
like
can
it.
see
I can see a
difference.
little bit. Like it almost looks like the stitches.
They're more loose.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
I was thinking that they
tighter.
were. So when I knit, one of my legs stands forward because the way, I don't know, I wrap the yarn. A lot of times you can see one leg.
Yeah, I understand that. I do that. I feel like it's like that on my sweater too. But yeah, it might be that. I think I agree with that. But I think that they're definitely a little more loose. But hopefully that will be okay. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well,
it's over 64 stitches on a size 1, and I'm using collage squares, and I don't really like them.
Oh no, really?
I like them as far as how they feel in my hand. What I don't like about them is the points. They are seriously sharp, and with the signatures that I'm knitting my sweater on, I love how the taper is really long and the points are long, but they're rounded on the end. And whatever the tip's made out of, I like that material because the needles glide off each other really well. Well, these don't. I feel like it's hitching, you know, if you can't, when you do the stitch, the needles won't glide at all off of each other. And so you have to, I feel like I'm almost knitting more loose just to compensate for that.
Right.
And so, so yeah, these are not my favorite.
Bummer,
but
well, that was your goal though, is to learn about
new needles, to different needles. And I have another set of these. I don't know if they've changed the way that they've made them, but my other set is a bigger size that I probably got for a hat or something. But they are not as pointy. So don't not try them just because of this. Check them out for yourself because they may have changed, they may not have. It may just be 2 different kinds of their needles. I have no idea. Because so, like High Highs has regulars and sharps,
right?
So they may have done that too, and I just didn't know.
Yeah. Well, I for this project I had I always like to use whatever needle I have to do the gauge and figure out what size needle to use, and I did a gauge swatch in 4s, 5s, and 6s, and I decided on 5s, and it actually gave me the gauge of the pattern, which I was thrilled about. But the needles I had were the Knit Picks interchangeable, and they come untwisted in the way that I knit, like every other row. I have to twist them back in.
That's annoying.
But it's always when there are stitches on there, so you have to try to twist but not grab a stitch. So I ordered, these are Chiagu red lace because I like them so much for the other projects I use them for, and they have such a nice sound. But you know what I noticed?
I like the points and the tapers. They look a lot like signatures. Let's hold them up and show.
But the thing I noticed as I switched from one needle, oh yeah, absolutely.
They look twin.
Oh, that's not on the screen.
Oh, sorry.
The camera's over there.
I was looking at the needles, not the camera. But they look twin. Look at that.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, I have to try this.
Yeah,
those
and
are
these
what?
are
Chagus?
Chagu red lace, because I think that might be different than the
Yeah,
so they have the red
ones.
band. They're $11, so
That's
super
awesome.
reasonably priced. Here's the thing I noticed when I was knitting from the knit picks onto the Chagus, the knit picks were like so much heavier. And so then I took both needles and I put them on my scale, and the knit picks are definitely heavier. The tip of them are some kind of material that Chagu is not, and I think that's one of their selling points, but they're so much heavier. These feel, knitting a sweater, so much better in my hand. And once you have a whole sweater's worth on your needle, I think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
To not like have the weight. I mean, I rested in my lap a lot, but yeah, so I love these so much.
Those are, I can't decide between trying Chagus and High Highs next. That's my next. And
Yeah.
I really ought to, because I have usually I have a set thing, I want this for Christmas. Well, I have no real thing that I want for Christmas, so I ought to really try this out now and then say, hey, honey, get me a whole set. So,
Well, I was going to ask, so if someone else got them for you as a gift, what size would you want?
that's the thing, I don't
Well, what size do you use? Do you know what size needle you use most often?
No, I really don't.
I know.
That's the bad thing. It's
Maybe
like,
because you use double points for socks, and these are circulars, so that would be hard. I always used to go with 8s because I would knit worsted all the time. Worsted weight, hats, scarves, whatever. But now I knit way more with fingering weight. So
I know. It's like, it's so varied these days. You know, I've got so many different needles, and it's so varied. But I need to go through and make myself a wish list, like if I'm going to buy a new one. But I really guess I should just plan a project and then say, okay, my next project's going to be this, and then those needles are this, and I'm just going to order that size. You know?
Exactly.
As long as I don't want to, the only thing is I don't want to do it if I've recently ordered
the same size.
the same size and something else new lately,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
But I do want to replace my knit picks ones. So
Yeah.
slowly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind to get a whole set at one time if I found something that I, just really love. But so far,
See, I have so many circulars already that a whole set doesn't appeal to me because I have so many sizes and needles that are fine, that I like fine, that work fine. Like, I think I have every needle size. It's a matter of what lengths they are.
That's
so
true.
a whole set, I feel like I would be duplicating so much, and then where in the heck would I keep it?
I know. We'll talk about needle organization here in a minute too. Okay, my next project.
Yeah.
I posted a poll on Instagram. Is this pretty or is this pretty ugly?
I like it.
So this is hand spun, and for whatever reason, this really stinks. I'm gonna have to wash it. Can you smell it from there?
This is the stuff. No, this is the stuff you bought from.
This is the stuff I bought, and this was some older lady's de-stash. She's not. It was a friend of.
Well, we talked about it last
and
episode.
so she's not able to work. And so this black and white stuff was hers. So it's probably been sitting around for years.
I think you smell the silk.
Is it the silk? Something
I think
stinks.
Silk smells when it gets wet.
So I did wash it.
Okay. So I think that's what you're smelling.
So, but I dried it. But yeah, I'm going to have to put a smell good something on here. I don't know. Maybe I'll put an essential oil or lavender or something in it.
In the bath?
In the bath, yeah. I don't know. But anyway, I have a project page. It's a cowl. I have a project page for it because I couldn't tell you what pattern I used because I kind of took two and did it. But it's, you do just stocking it, and then like there's 2 rows of each yarn that are garter. But it's like the pattern called for one pattern was knit like back and forth and then grafted, and it used bulky hand spun and like a lace. And so then the other one was this kind of pattern that had this little garter ridges. But it was knit in the round like this, and so I kind of borrowed that lace, and this isn't lace, it's probably still worsted, but the bulky and the thinner yarn from that other pattern and did this pattern.
So what's the red yarn?
The red is, I don't know. It was, this is a de-stash from my mother. It is called Monteza
from
Llama Wool Classic Elites, and she got married and quit knitting, and let's see, it's a color, it's a number 3858, and it is 50% llama, 50% wool. And
it's a really nice yarn.
It really is. It's soft. I like it. It kind of has that rustic, almost hand-spun look to it. And so I thought it matched really well with my...
It does. I like it.
So I would plan on this for a gift if I didn't hate it. And maybe still if I did. But no, I had planned on making this for a gift. So
yeah,
hopefully they will like it. It's basically almost finished if I just sit down and finish it. But I still have another big honking amount of the hand spun, and so I might just do another one and gift it. I don't know. But
yeah, or maybe match it with a totally different color or a lighter yarn. Yeah,
something else.
So what else are you working on?
Okay, I'm going to save that for last since we're talking about shawls today. This one, I wished I'd have gotten farther with this one, but I didn't because I started a pattern on the sock and felt like I needed to kind of look at it because I only am like a couple rows into the pattern. So I'm doing 2 at a time, toe up, and the reason for this is I'm testing some new yarn.
Yay!
And I don't want to tell you all about it because there's a secret to it, and it's really, I don't think anybody's doing this, and so I'm really excited about that, to have some, with such a creative world out there these days and so many awesome dyers. To say that I'm doing something different and new, I'm totally stoked about it. So I'm only a few rows in. This orange was a total mistake. This was supposed to be sunny yellow, and I put too much orange in it, so I threw a bunch of red on it, and it turned out amazing.
It did.
And so I'm calling this colorway, if it works out like I'm hoping it will, I'm calling this Baby You Can't Put My Fire Out, or Baby You Can't quench my fire, something like that, something cute like that. So anyway, it's I did start a pattern, and it is Road Rage or something like that, 2-lane Road Rage or something like that, and it's gonna have a little slip stitch pattern to it, and then in the middle does something different. But so I thought that would lend its since this is fire and smoke, I thought that would lend it good to that pattern.
Yeah.
And so it's I'm really pleased with it so far. I did a twin skeins where I broke the skein in half and did 2 separate balls, and I can't show you the ball, sorry. that would give away the surprise. Okay. I'll show you the ball. I'm not going to show the podcasters yet. I want to knit it up. But I'm so pleased. It is changing colors within stitches of each other.
That's awesome.
So, and I did measure, like when I started the toe, I did just I thought as long as I start in the same place, so I measured like 4 needles lengths and then started on each side, so it would be in the same place. And yeah, and I did a GD's Magic cast on.
Oh yeah.
Is that what? Yeah. And I did a rounded toe, and these are linked in my project page if you're interested in the rounded toe. I think that looks very nice.
Very nice. Excellent.
So I'm really excited about that. Hopefully, I'm sure by next time I will. Do you want to see a peek?
Oh, okay. So it's very exciting. You want to unlock that?
Yes.
And I will. So next we're going to talk about Shawl Together. It is a kind of community project for everyone to celebrate and talk about shawls. Several designers and yarn makers and bloggers and podcasters are getting together to talk about our favorite shawls and shawl techniques, and we will link in our show notes, which you'll find at handmadepodcast.com, to the Shawl Together main page, which gathers all these tutorials and new patterns that have been created for Shawl Together. You can join in by posting pictures of your favorite shawl using the hashtag Shawl Together and Handmade Podcast. Add that. We love that. And actually, I found a whole bunch of people who are using the hashtag The Handmade Podcast. So feel free to use either one of those, and we look at both, or use both of them, and then both sets of people will find you. So Shawl Together was created by Kate. I'm going to forget the rest of her name, but it's Kate. She's great. Of Infinite Twist. So you can go to infiniteTwist.com/fall-shawl-together, but we'll put the link in our show notes. And there's all kinds of different posts and patterns and techniques that designers are sharing to make, like one I saw was the tab cast on, where you start a triangle shawl with a tab first. So I think this one is started with a tab too. But that's a really good skill to learn because you can do a bunch of patterns from that.
I need to see. I have a problem, and maybe you guys can help me, or maybe Tara can help me. But I need to see if they can help me out. So I have started with Pleasure M, with Pleasure, and
is that the name of the pattern?
Yes, with Pleasure M with Pleasure.
Oh, okay.
And so I think it's a reference to
some movie or book.
It is the 007 James Bond movies.
Oh, M. Okay.
M. So it on the wrong side, you have a knit 2, yarn over, purl the rest of the row. And then at the end you go from purl, yarn over to knit 2. Well, on one side, my yarn overs are kind of big, which is fine. I don't mind that. But on the other side, not so much. And it's like I have to dig them out. I'm like, maybe if I block them out, they'll match. But they don't. I mean, it's consistent throughout that they're not.
You know what it is?
Yeah.
It's that on one row, on one side of the shawl, you're following up your yarn over with purls, which I think is making up a really open. And on the other one, when you come to the end, you're probably doing purl to the end, yarn over, knit 2 together. So that yarn over is followed by a knit 2 together. Is that what you said?
No, it's just purl, yarn over, knit.
Okay.
So I looked up how you're supposed to do those for going from purl to knit and knit to purl and the yarn overs in between.
And the way you wrap it.
And the way that you wrap it. And for the going from knit to purl, you're not supposed to wrap it. You're just supposed to, you know, sometimes if you're not paying attention, you don't bring your yarn forward. Well, you don't bring your yarn forward at all. You just go over the needle.
Like this.
And so.
Like over the needle.
Yeah.
As opposed to around the needle.
Yeah. So you don't, you know, bring your yarn forward like you're just purling. You just bring it over top of the needle. And I read up on it, and I thought that they said it's pretty much the same way from purl to knit. You don't wrap. You go from purl over the top to the knit. And I think that's the side that I'll have to pay attention. Because that's the side that's not big enough.
Yeah, that's going to make a tighter. What it is that the space around it is less.
So I think I'm going to have to start changing that one, and I'm not going to rip back. It just ain't going to happen. And so, but yeah, hopefully I can.
So you know what I would
block it a little aggressively right there to kind of bring out
and
that.
And that's going to be so much at the top of the shawl.
Yeah,
it's not going to be able to notice.
And it's got beads. This is my first little beading project. I don't know if you can
see them. And so what yarn is that? This
is the yarn that you gave me. It is the yak that is from Bayou Basin that doesn't have a ball band, and so yeah, it's like a champagne color, and it's beautiful and soft. It is, and I love it.
And this is just one skein though, right? This is a teeny tiny amount of yarn.
Unfortunately, now you got this as like, you didn't pay for this. You got this as like a sample or something. Yeah. And unfortunately, when I went to ball it up, it balled. No. And so,
did it tangle or
no,
it just
came apart. And like it already has. While I was knitting, I could tell it had gotten like thin, and I just kind of pulled it and came apart. And so I went ahead and did the magic knots, and that's how I'm gonna finish it up. And so. Again, she did not pay for this. Bayou Basin is a great company, and I'm sure that and we'll link they would not sell something that had any kind of issues.
Here's
like
the other thing. It's been in my stash for 6 years.
Yeah.
So it's possible that it has suffered damage at the hand of me, my cats, or I don't know if I ever told you this. I got a fleece from Saf years ago that had moths in it.
Had moths.
And my whole yarn closet got moths in it. And I threw out hundreds of dollars worth of yarn, fiber. This is when I had my yarn business, so I was completely freaked out. It was going to ruin me. And I put all of the yarn that was in there out in the freezing cold, which kills moths. And then I washed it all. And so it is possible that one got a little chewed on before... I
wanted to be really careful to say that because I know how powerful word of mouth stuff can be.
Right.
And someone mentioned the other day something about a dyer, and I don't want to say, who it was or what they said because you'd know, but I was cringing because, it was a dyer I had heard of, that I admired their stuff, and it was a pretty big, thing.
Yeah.
And I was just going, oh my God. She was like, I was cringing for that dyer because, I mean, they, I don't want to say any more about it because you would totally guess, you know.
Well, and there's drama. There's always drama about who has knots in their yarn and who's dye runs.
The lady who was saying it, she loved this person and meant no harm at all. And I don't think, she probably didn't think that it would in any way, you know, she's just stating fact. You know, it wasn't anything that she was trying to be malicious or warn people against it. She's just stating fact. And so, yeah, but I was cringing for that dyer, man. I was like, oh, ouch. Ugh.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
so I hated that.
Every time I see dramas in somebody's small business and people are complaining, I'm always like, oh, that would be so horrifying.
Yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, you can't be too afraid to, like, know that you're not going to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
And that unless you are, and I mean, I've seen examples of dyers, yarn makers, designers who are actually deceptive and take orders and don't fill them. Unless you're doing the wrong thing, I always tell people, like, don't worry, a little bit of feedback, pushback might make you better. It doesn't mean you're gonna, my fear was always I was gonna spiral, right? Like there'd be one complaint and then it would all be over.
Yeah, it, you know, really makes me nervous as someone who's just getting started. I mean, I'm not perfect. I could totally make a mistake, or I was worried about something, you know, they get it home and it bleeds, and, you know, what if this happens? And so, yeah, I'm nervous about somebody, you know, not only not being happy, that personally them not being happy. I want them to, you know, hand-dyed yarn's expensive, and I want you to love it and really, you know, it be perfect for you when you buy it. And so, you know, my first concern is you're going to find something wrong with it. Then my concern is you're going to tell everybody you know how crappy it was. And so, yeah. So it's like, so I'm sensitive to that for other people too.
Me too, in the exact same way. And I think it's like a good thing we're talking about to keep in mind. We have, because anybody watches this, we have a lot of power to hurt or help somebody's business.
Yeah. And we wouldn't want to do that.
No, and I feel a huge responsibility to be like honest and not, but also recognize that, like, there are all kinds of reasons why things can go wrong.
Exactly.
But also everybody, that's the wonderful thing and also the horrifying thing about the internet and Ravelry, is everybody has just as much power.
Yeah,
you can say something
because you know, the forums are huge these days. I mean, look how many followers you now have on Instagram and how many people see what you're posting. And even if you don't have Instagram, on Ravelry, the forums in there, and you know, one person says it, somebody said, oh, I heard this about somebody else, and there it spreads like wildfire. And so you know, be careful with your words, because, you know, you may not think you're anybody, but your words still have power. So
which is awesome, because it allows us to kind of avoid those people who are going to take advantage of us, but also just really scary if you're a maker, to fear that people are going to turn on you.
Anyway, we have
well, let's talk about
shawls.
More shawls. Yeah. So,
I have a couple here. This one is really my favorite.
Well, and we wanted to share with you guys our favorite shawls, and then ask you to share with us your favorite shawls. So Misty has two, which are so beautiful.
This is my Rock Island by Jared Flood. And this is beautiful. I bought, this is Knit Picks yarn again, but I bought,
is it like their alpaca lace?
I don't know. It's some lace. I don't remember. It's probably on my project page. But it probably needs to be reblocked. As you can see, it's this gorgeous spiderweb kind of deal, but it probably I wore it quite a bit. And the points, I had the points blocked out really aggressively.
I really like it like this, though.
But I do. I love it like this. It's beautiful. Nice, I like to wear it all bunched up like this, and it's beautiful. I love it. I was very proud that I didn't have any major screw-ups, because this was my first lace project.
And that is lace on both sides, right?
It is on this section. You start working the edging and then go up from there. And so once you get, you know. Okay, so this is a shawl I'm going to knit with this yarn. You see how pretty it'll be? Yeah, it'll be gorgeous. It will really be gorgeous.
I love it.
And so, yeah, I absolutely, I knocked stuff over. I absolutely love that one. That one's my favorite. And then I did this one. This one has a front and a back. This one is like the butterflies, summer flies maybe. Again, there's a Ravelry.
Are these the little butterflies?
Yeah, there's little butterfly looking. So it's a summer flies type of thing.
And this feels like it's made out of almost cotton.
I really don't know. I'm so bad. This was pre-podcasting when I didn't keep up with this stuff, but I probably put what it was on my project page.
Okay, so we're gonna link to her project pages in the show notes.
Yeah, I think I've already got those. I don't think I did this one because I've forgotten about this one. I went up to grab the other one and say, oh yeah, I got this one too. But it's got a little picot edge to it. And it's really pretty. And there's another one just hanging over there that's knit in yellow. My mom knit it, and she didn't finish it. She was like so close, and I finished it for her, and it needs to be blocked. So.
But there's also the shawl you have on.
There's also my Miss Winkle FO.
Which you guys have been seeing in progress for a couple episodes.
In progress. So we'll start on this end. And I changed the pattern slightly to include stockinette stripes. Stockinette and garter stripes. The only thing that I wish I had did differently was do more garter on the edge. I kind of played yarn chicken and just did as much as possible. And I was hoping that I would have a bigger garter edge on the end and didn't. And it's wanting to fold on me.
Have you blocked it yet?
Yes, I have blocked it. So I didn't pin it and block it. I did the, I just kind of laid it out and blocked it. And so I did the PVC pipe through the loops. The pattern says to do a wood dowel. Don't do wood dowel, do PVC because they say the wood swells and it sticks to it when it's wet.
Oh,
so and then I did like lipstick tubes on the end because I ran out of PVC pipe.
I was gonna say I don't have PVC pipe or wood dowels in my house, so I guess if I ever made one, I'd have to come over.
Come over. I think it's still in the garage.
PVC pipe.
But yeah, I really love it. I've wore it several times. My only
so cute
thing is where they're the ends aren't symmetrical. I've had to like. It's come loose or something. I've had to refix it a couple times while I've been wearing it. But other than that, I like it. And I do the little, so it has 2 layers of loops going through there.
I love it. It's so cute.
Love it.
So my favorite shawl is, and I have way more shawls at home, but you've seen the Doctor Who shawl, and that is really maybe overtaking this one. I think you've also seen Color Affection, and if not, you'll definitely see it because I wear it constantly. It's like my gray hoodie of shawls. This one you guys haven't seen, and this is the one I think maybe I'm most proud of. The pattern is Harooni. And it is knit, well first, so see their leaves, and then the edging is this.
Oh,
the
pretty.
leaves like naturally feed into these double leaf section, and then this, and of course when it was blocked, these were all kind of pointy. I block it lightly though. I don't want it to be real flat. Like I like that it has a little texture.
Yeah.
And I don't like to heavily block out the like, I don't know, squishiness and the life from the yarn. But, so it has a center. It starts up here with a little garter tab of a couple stitches. And then you can see I need to trim that. And then it has a center spine. And you keep making the leaves and they naturally, you know, make more and more leaves. And I love it. And then the beautiful border.
That must have took you forever.
I don't know. It's on my project page when I started it and when I finished it. Because I was on Ravelry then. But it was, that's like a loose stitch. I don't know. It was years ago. It was at least 4 or 5 years ago that I made it. And it's made out of Urban Gypsies. I think it's a sea silk wool blend. Again, it's on the project page. We should have refreshed our project. We should have looked before we started. I thought for sure I was going to remember what it is. But I loved this color. And I bought this yarn at Pearl's Yarn Emporium in Asheville. I bought the first skein, and then I realized I wasn't going to have enough, so I emailed her, and I said, you don't have this color in your shop, but I need another skein. I'm freaking out. And so I don't know if you can see it on, even in person, but there's a definite line where it goes from the first skein to the second skein. I wouldn't have noticed that
unless you pointed it out.
No, and this is one of those things only other knitters would notice under deep scrutiny.
Yeah.
No one has ever said, hey, that's 2 colors pink, but I can kind
of see it.
You got lucky,
though.
Yeah,
you
well,
really did.
and I could have, if I had known I needed 2 skeins, I could have
striped it at the bottom. Yeah, I'm doing that with my cardigan.
But you can kind of see the line.
Even though they were in the same pot, I'm still striping the last piece.
Yeah.
Rows.
Well, and so I like to wear this one because I always wondered before I knit triangle shawls, I don't know how to wear them. I don't want them to look like a bib. Like I don't wear it like this. And I don't really, until I'm cold, sitting at the coffee shop, wear it like this. Even though if I am cold, this is like definitely the warmest way ever to wear it. A lot of people wear them like this. I feel lame. So I squinch it all up except for the really awesome border. And so I make it more like a scarf and then I wrap it around. And I futz with it all day too. So there, that's, I don't know, kind of how I wear it. And I love it. It's, I get compliments on it every single time I wear it. People are like,
it's
that
beautiful.
amazing. And, you know, a lot of people don't even think to ask, like, did you make it? They're like, where did you get it? And I say, make it. And then they're like, oh, which I love.
Yeah,
that reaction.
you gotta love that.
It's also the scarf that gets people to say, that scarf matches your hair, which I'm like, okay. That's neither a compliment nor like anything I can.
Yes, it does.
Right, exactly. So, my favorite, or maybe the shawl I'm most proud of. I don't wear it as often because it's fancier, I feel like, but it is really nice when I am dressed up and I have like a long coat on to then have my nice pretty scarf. Or shawl.
You can
I love
totally
it.
wear it with what you have on, though.
Oh, I do. I mean, I definitely wear it with jeans and stuff, but I have so many other ones that are more casual and also warmer. Like, they're all wool. So, I love it, though. Haruni, I have been debating making another one for a long time, but I think it's so distinctive. Like, I don't want to have two of the exact same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and plus, there's so many more shawl patterns to try. So, you have another finished object.
I have two more.
Oh my goodness.
So this hat is really, it's been done for a stupid amount of time. And I was intimidated by sewing the brim on.
Which is crazy considering all the sewing you do.
I know, it was silly, but it went on well. You can see it kind of, you know, did right there. So yeah, it went on well. And this hat, I have no idea what it's called. I'll have to look it up. I don't know if I looked it up or not. Oh, it's the Hannah hat. So I do have a link already in there, and that's the little top of it. And it wears a little slouchy.
It's cute. So cute. It's cute. You're adorable in it.
So yeah, and it slouches a little bit there in the back.
I kind of want one.
It's cute. And it fits really well. I mean, it's almost a little snug, but not really bad. I mean, it you know, it's got a good give to it, but it fits.
Yeah.
So
I like that, though. So then it's not going to, like, what I have hats do, because I have a big head, is they kind of slouch up throughout the day. And then they're sitting, like, at the top of your head. You know what I mean? Like, I have to keep pulling it out.
Here, you want to try it on?
Okay.
No.
Well, on
don't
air.
have to.
Okay, well, you talk about your other. Oh, my goodness! Okay.
I have a sock hedgehog. So, yeah. This is a gift for Christmas. My stepdad/boss loves for me to make things for him for Christmas.
Should we tell him to not be watching?
He won't watch. He won't watch.
He doesn't knit.
He doesn't knit. And
I feel like I should be in Newsies. Wait, I don't know. See, there's not enough slouch because my head's too big.
It's not terribly slouchy anyway. I mean, it's just not.
Okay.
So
it feels amazing, though. This feels good.
So this is out of my yarn. This is the Vols colorway. Look how I like how it did at the top. How cute.
I love that. So this is self-striping.
This is self-striping. I do have, there was 2 people who were interested, and I have messaged them. I did not put this up in my last update, but if I don't hear from them this week, it will be going in my next update.
So in case you're not from here, this is UT, University of Tennessee, Vol
colorway.
Orange.
Yeah. And the next one is, yeah, it's pretty much the same. It might be a smidgen darker.
Yeah, that orange.
But I did like 3 skeins in the pot this time. This one was done individually, and I did 3 skeins in the pot. So
they all perfectly match.
Yeah, you know, it just came out just slightly different. But yeah,
okay, so if those people don't want it, I'm going to have to ask Jay if he wants either striped socks or if maybe I should have leg warmers to wear in that. Can't you see leg warmers? Like,
oh, yeah.
When you're wearing your UT jacket or sweatshirt, and then
it's
that's
extremely
so
slouchy.
Oh, that is extremely slouchy. I love that.
So I hope that this is not just a girly hat, that a guy will like the slouchiness of this too, because it's for a guy.
Yeah.
And he's so great, though. I've met him last year. One year, it was ugly. I mean, the hat wasn't ugly, but it was not his style. And did he
wear it anyhow?
I don't know if he wore it anyhow, but he did appreciate my effort. So, yeah, he still asked for it. I bought him something. I think I said that the other day. I bought him something and told him that I got you something the other day. You're still going to make me something, aren't you? And so, yeah, of course
that's
he
so
does.
Sweet.
Yeah, you got to love that.
See, I'm thinking I'm just not a hat person. The bangs kind of mess it up. You know what I mean?
No, it looks cute, I think.
I don't know.
I don't wear hats a lot either. But I did wear this the other day when we went out trick-or-treating. That's
really cute. It seems like it'd be really warm.
Yep.
So we talked about our favorite shawls. Do you have, you talked about both of yours. I talked about mine. So what shawls are in your queue as my hair's being crazy?
I want to do Cladonia so bad. I think
I own that pattern. I think I bought it in a
Did you
fit
buy
of
that?
like, I need to do that.
Yeah.
It's striped?
It's striped and it has a beautiful edging, but it's just mostly I believe it's stockinette stripe.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a really pretty edging to it, and I've bookmarked 2 or 3 different colors that I like in it, but I want to dye the yarn for it. And the ones that I like are like the dark teal and like the lighter green.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that'd be pretty.
Gorgeous. And I also like the Bryce Canyon shawl. I kind of wanted to do that with this yarn that you gave me, but I was afraid I would run out, so I didn't. But it's really neat. It has this triangle in the middle of the shawl that is these little, and then in I don't know how to describe it, individual little triangles going down through it, but in the center of that there's a cable.
Ooh.
It's really a neat shawl. I mean, it's just so different, and they've knit it in like this really pretty peachy pink color, and it's just beautiful. I love it.
So we will link to it in our show
Yes.
notes, handmadepodcast.com, so that you can see the picture of the triangles and the triangles.
Yeah, it's just, you have to check it out. It's very pretty.
Yeah. So the 2 patterns that are on my list are Rock Island, which we saw Misty's, and Celestarium, which I'm...
Oh, I forgot. I've got a picture somewhere, I think, that I took at SAF of somebody wearing that.
You have to show
Because
me.
it had like beads, and it's the big round one, and she was wearing it like almost like a jacket.
So it's a... Did I talk about this to the group or maybe just to you? It's a round shawl that is a star chart of the night sky. She's done 2. One is from the North Pole and one is from the South Pole. And I would do the one that has the stars that we see in it, kind of in the in the Northern Hemisphere. That must be what it is, the Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere. And so you can do the stars, put the stars in their place in the star chart. It has beads and yarn overs, but I think I would just do the beads and leave out the yarn overs. And so that it, I don't know, so when you see it, it's just beaded without random yarn overs. Like, I like yarn overs when they make a pattern like this, but not just randomly scattered on a field of stocking net. But what I was going to use for it, the whole reason I found the pattern is because I was looking for a star-ish pattern to use my Doctor Who yarn that Misty dyed, which people are starting to post in our group on the thread Doctor Who pre-orders about getting their packages and loving them. And actually, I didn't tell you, but when I was meeting with the Yarn Over Truck girls, one of them had in her purse your Doctor Who bag.
What?
I know. Her name is Merity. She bought it from you.
What's her
I don't know her Ravelry name. I only know her as a person outside of Ravelry. But she does all the social media. Or no, wait, it's not Merity. It's Barbara Pushies. And she is, so on Instagram, they're Yarn Over Truck. That's their name. And if you live in Southern California, you should look up Yarn Over Truck. That way you know when they're coming to your area. But she had your Doctor Who bag, and she was like, "Oh, I love it so much."
Very cool.
Yeah. So I know you had a super limited amount, and you were just telling me you're like all sold out.
I have 1 skein of yarn left and 1 bag left, and I'll have to come up with the stitch markers. But I got tired of making the bags, so I just when I opened my shop, I didn't list it. So.
Well, and you only have a limited amount of fabric to make the bags, right? Yeah. So that's Celestarium. I'm super excited about knitting it. I think I did mention it because I bought, in the last episode, we talked about Unexpected Peacock. I bought a skein of her blue.
Unplanned Peacock.
Oh, that's it. I always think Unexpected because I'm like, that's an unexpected name.
Yeah.
So Unplanned Peacock, I got a skein of her blue sparkly and a skein of your Doctor Who yarn, and I'm going to make Celestarium.
Are you going to just stripe it all throughout?
I was thinking of, you can see several examples, and I think the pattern even calls for you to use 3 different yarns.
Oh.
So it gets like progressively darker.
Ooh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
I'm thinking about that, but I don't know if I like those stripes. Like, they're kind of too close, so I might stripe it. I might do just chunks, like color block it. I don't know yet. It's still... I have to finish 2 fingering weight jackets first.
Do you have to have another skein of yarn besides those 2 to complete it?
I'm thinking about, I do, yeah. I was thinking about buying your last skein of Doctor Who yarn and just making it in the Doctor Who yarn.
That's fine.
That's fine. You'll allow that. Everybody else who's listening is like,
no.
Right. So we would love to hear what your favorite shawls are, either that you've knit or that you want to knit. And we have a giveaway for you. If you go to our Ravelry group, join it, and then leave a comment on this on the show notes for this episode, you will find that direct link to where you should comment on handmadepodcast.com, or go to Ravelry and look up Handmade Podcast, join our group, comment on this post will be called Shawl Together, and talk about your favorite pattern or the favorite one you've ever knit, and show us a picture. If it's one you've knit, we want to see a picture, and you will win a skein of this yarn. This is hand spun by me. Yay! I talked about it last week, or the Spinzilla episode. The fiber was organic Polworth, hand dyed by Sheep Spot, and she sells breed specific wool. So every roving or yarn you get from her is from one breed of wool, and she's actually releasing a new line of yarn from a very rare breed of sheep. And she only has so many skeins because it comes from, you know, like the sheep only produce so many.
How would you dye that? Knowing that this is it, you know?
Oh, it's really cool. She's choosing really like natural and darker colors. Like I've seen a few grays and greens. But go to sheepspot.com, sign up for her email where she tells you what's coming up, and also because there are going to be so few skeins. So if you really like it, and she talks all about how the yarn is, you know, came to be. It used minimal processing, so there's no chemicals. It was very gently washed and then mill spun by a small family owned mill and then dyed by her. Oh, super cool. It's called Clun Forest, C-L-U-N, but we will link to Sheepspot and you will find all the details there. This is her organic Polworth, hand dyed by her, spun by me. You will win it. I will ship it to you. We will just choose a winner randomly, use a random number generator from all of our commenters. Last time's winner, we've already contacted her. I think her name is like Victorian. Anyhow, she's already gotten in contact with Unplanned Peacock. And so we want to thank Unplanned Peacock for her generous donation, and thank Sheepspot Studios who sent me this fiber to spin with. I love it so much. You're going to love it too. I hope you don't mind. I've like squeezed it a lot, but it held up beautifully.
It's very soft. It's very pretty.
How beautiful that is. Oh, we want to see what you knit with it once you win it. Yes. So come to our Ravelry group. Tell us your favorite shawl pattern. Ask us any of your questions, which you'd like us to talk about next time. And
I like to talk about needle storage next time because I rearranged my whole little crafty space over here, and I think I'm getting ready to rearrange how I store my needles because I've never really been happy with it, but it's outgrowing that bag. That bag like spilled over and barfed all my double points onto the floor, and so I'm like, this really
Does that mean I have to show my needle storage? So I have we'll talk about it next week or next time.
2 weeks.
Thank you so much for watching, and come leave a comment. Use the hashtag Handmade Podcast or the Handmade Podcast, either one, and the hashtag Shawl Together to tell us about your favorite shawls on Instagram and Twitter. And thank you so much for watching.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.